Mark, if Morgan goes under, we end up with nothing.
I say when we sell.
This isn't about you. This isn't about you.
Hey,
You're up
hey,
inside Mahogany.
hey! I say when we sell.
Well, Grandma, what did you think of The Big Short? All about the big financial crisis of not that long ago.
2008 was.
Yeah.
I was fascinated by the story. Of course, I was fortunately not touched by the financial crisis itself, but I know how serious it was for so many people, and it being a true story, I thought it was interesting how they focused on the individuals that were understanding what was happening, and
well, they had 3 different groups of investors that we followed, all a bunch of very different people in the different groups. They all sort of came to the same realization early on that there was going to be a problem.
They knew not exactly when it would happen, but they knew unless things radically changed that it was going to happen.
Right.
And especially the Michael Berry guy at the very beginning, he was so far off the norm of normal behavior. He was a little different from even the others, that were tuned in to what was happening. And it was very fascinating, I thought. I'm glad they took the time to make this film, to explain to those of us who are not involved in the markets at all. I don't have any investments in the market, do you?
No.
We had a U.S. savings bond once, which we cashed in a few years ago.
I don't think that counts.
That doesn't count.
No, but then again, the people who were doing the wrong things in this movie, again, they were all about getting rich quick. They weren't about getting rich sort of
and the ones
over the long term,
once they profiled,
slowly and carefully.
That was very clear with the ones that are main characters. We were following them as they interviewed people who were involved in this, and they were stunned by, even they were surprised by the level of self-centeredness, having no concern for what this was doing to their clients, to their even regular people who were not their clients, but what this was doing. It wasn't as though, I guess we call them bad guys. I guess the bad guys. It wasn't as though the bad guys didn't know what they were doing. Right. They were doing it, and
they explained it several times.
Yes, they explained it several times, and some of them even crowed about it. You see how terrific this was. We made, some $1 billion. And throwing around the millions and the billion figures was interesting too. For those of us who, look, I've got $35.20 left, and I've paid all my bills. Those of us who live like that. I can remember the thrill that I had the first time I paid all of the bills, and we had some money left over. I can still remember that. That was, since we lived from paycheck to paycheck, it was really nice to have a little bit left over.
Well, you weren't thinking to go buy some stocks with it?
I did not consider that, no. It's too risky for, for many Americans, many people in the world. But this story was fascinating. I knew what had happened, but of course I didn't understand why it happened, which is what this story was all about. This is why it happened. Right. And I remember the government bailout. I remember what a big deal that was. They had to get the banks back on, back functioning, for the rest of us. I thought the acting was very, very good, and it was
whole herd of good actors in this one.
A whole, yes, a whole herd of very good actors.
Well, the thing, I think it's quite an impressively written story. Again, it's based on a book, so you have to give a lot of credit, I think, to the original book. But the director and the screenwriter, I think, did a lot more even to make it understandable to people. Again, the financial crisis is one of those things where to a lot of people they don't understand it. And again, the filmmakers and the writer, the screenwriter understood that again, telling this story was going to be difficult for the audience to understand. And they did, I think, a really good job of doing that. Part of what they did, again, they had these little asides every now and then where they would take some person who you would think has no connection, like Selena Gomez, to big business,
and talk right directly to the audience,
have them explain it to the audience in a way they would understand. Right. And again, that's something that again wasn't part of the book, I'm sure. That's something that the director and the screenwriter had to do.
I appreciated them with the captions.
Yes.
Every now and then they would have a caption and explain to us what this term meant, and that they were going to be using over and over again.
Well, again, this is another one of those movies where we sort of know how it comes out, because again, it's all based on real events. What they needed to do, which other movies perhaps attempting to do the same thing haven't done, was to make it interesting. And again,
they made it interesting.
Part of it was again the writing, which I mentioned, but again also part of it was all the interesting characters, the different groups, how they came about going the same direction, different ways, how they realized it different ways, and again then all the different characters and how they interacted and decided to again risk a lot of money to make again a lot more money. Again, it's not an easy thing to do, and again all of that together again I think makes for a very interesting movie.
I thought the film was very well done and the acting was very well done, and I appreciated them taking this project on and telling us how this happened. Do you think that the possibility that it might happen again is still out there? Oh, yes.
Of course there is. Definitely. I mean, they sort of point that out at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
That, again,
nobody was actually charged with any crime, except this one unfortunate guy who got charged with something that sent him to prison. And all of the others went on about their lives, I guess, as if nothing happened. Of course, they didn't profile all of them, but they did tell us what happened to our main characters that we followed around. I appreciated that too. In a true story, I always like to know at the end, what happened there. I thought it was very good. I give it 2 thumbs up. Yes.
You do?
Yes, I do.
I would recommend it too. Again, it's the acting and the writing is all very
superior.
Good, very interesting.
Very superior.
An interesting way to tell a
story.
A complicated and somewhat familiar story, but they did a good job.
They did. Very good job.